guys.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I hope a lot of you are still with us, and I hope a lot more of you have joined.
Oh, let's be real. We are your new favorite hosts. I'm just going to manifest.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, your two favorite besties are back.
Yes.
How'd you feel walking away, kind of sharing your story about, like, your arranged marriage and, like, talking about relationships? I just jumped right in.
You did. Unfiltered and straight to the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of everything we're going to discuss on this podcast is going to be helpful to somebody. I think just even hearing, your story, a lot of people maybe feel like they're getting in arranged marriages, but because society thinks of it so negative, they don't want to talk about it and pretend it's really something different than what it really was. But you know what? It's like, life is short. Just, like, get rid of the facade, get rid of the fakeness,
Mm-hmm.
just be truthful. And if people can't appreciate you for the truth, then those are not your people.
No, they really aren't. And, like, I'm not going to lie, when you, again, told me, like, when you got engaged,
Yeah.
I was like, she's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Also, I don't even know if we can cuss, so I apologize. Don't mean to say that
We'll
word.
edit that
but, like,
out. We'll edit
yeah,
that in
we'll
the
bleep
audio.
it out.
Yeah.
But, like, I was like, dude, WTH.
Yeah.
But, again, like, I've seen your relationship progress,
Yeah.
and, like, it's hashtag goals.
A lot of my non-Desi, my non-brown friends, really, when I told them, they said nothing good about it. They were like, what's wrong with you? You didn't, they were like, and one girl in particular was like, you were never that kind of person that would do an arranged marriage. I always thought you would have, like, go from boyfriend to, like, husband. I was like, and like, there's just, because people don't know what it is. When you hear arranged, you immediately assume, 13-year-old child bride in Afghanistan is being forced to marry a 50-year-old man, and that's what arranged marriages are, but it's not. It's not that
there
way.
was still, like, I think you guys had, like, there was still some dating. There, like, wooing. Like, I think it may not have been, like, in the traditional sense, but, like, there was a sense of, like, wooing. Is that the word? Like, there
in a way, but it's like we kind of jumped the first 10 steps because we started dating with the ring on my finger. Like, it was very, like, we know we're dating, but
it was intentional dating, clearly. But at the same time, there was still that sense of, like, your parents, I know at least your dad was always like, if you don't want to do this, then you can walk away at any point, which I think is definitely, like, helpful.
At any point. Like, I don't know, because it always, like, I always feel like we're putting, like, I don't like my stuff is so private. All my social media is private because I don't talk about it, because I know a lot of, like, his family and, people from work might listen to this and hear about this, but up until, like, the Tuesday of our wedding, and we got our nikah, which is, like, the Islamic vows, the actual marriage, not the reception. All that stuff is cultural, but the nikah, which is the only religious, element of the marriage, was on Friday. And so up until Tuesday in Cancun, I was gonna write a call. I was calling off the wedding.
Yeah.
I literally got to Cancun and I looked at my mom and dad and I was like, I'm sending him a message. I'm telling him to come to the hotel room because I am calling this off. I am done with it.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, everyone out. He kicked out my cousin, my sisters, my mom, who were, like, all in hysterics. That was what I thought I was gonna do because I was so emotional. And my dad, like, sat down and we talked about, like, I was literally like, Bria, I was like, I was so offended by something it wasn't insignificant at all. In hindsight, it was significant, but I feel like just the hormones and the emotions and the adrenaline.
It's a big deal.
I was getting married, and so, like, whether a marriage ends or doesn't end, like, you go in thinking this is it. So I went in and I was like, oh my God, like, I can't do this. I cannot marry this man. And I was like, I don't care that all these people spent all this money. I don't care that he spent all this money. My dad spent all this money. Like, I'm ending this marriage. And so he was playing golf and I texted him. I was like, I need to talk to you. Come to the hotel room. And he's like, but I'm playing golf. Like, because he had, like, a golf game with everyone, the guests, on that Tuesday. And I was like, I need you in the hotel room. We need to talk. And so he was so pissed off at me. And later he told me, he was like, I was playing the best game of my life. I was at hole 8. I was beating everybody. And you texted me and I knew it right there and then that she's going to call off the wedding. And I was like, what were you thinking? He's like, I knew that if you're going to call it off, I'm not going to fight for you. I'll say, okay, have a safe flight home. And I was going to continue the party anyway because I paid for it. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you do you, boo.
You do, Bill, my line.
And so by the time he showed up to the hotel room, thank God my dad had time to talk to me, and he like settled all my worries. And he was like you're being really dramatic about this, and by this you're not being dramatic, but talk about it once you're married and once everyone's gone. But yeah, like, when he showed up to the door, like, I literally opened the door and I was like, I'm good. We don't need to talk. And he's like, what? He's like, we are talking because I literally just left the best golf game of my life.
Being like that too.
He was like, Bushra, what is going on? And I was like, well, I was going to call off the wedding, but my dad calmed me down and we went through, and obviously I'm not calling it off anymore. And he's like, well, what were you worried about? And I was like, you don't have to worry. We don't talk about it. We'll talk about it later. I was like, I'm still like, fun, yeah. I just hashed it out with my dad. I don't want to rehash it out with you. So I was like, but my dad was even so like, I mean, my dad always was supportive. He was like, after everything, he's like, if you still want to call it off, we can. Literally, we'll change our flight. We'll leave tomorrow. Like, it does not matter. He's like, don't think with that mentality of like, you're wasting my money. You wasted our time. Everyone's here. He's like, life will go on. But if you do not want to marry this man, you don't have to. So I was like, no, I'll do it. I'm not gonna act like an emotional little child. And then I went through with it. Here we are 9 years later.
But I think, like, to speak to, like, your dad's, like being there in that corner, you don't see that a lot, right? Like, especially in, like, our South Asian families. Mm-hmm. Like, once, like, the daughter is either, like, engaged or married, it's like, well, you kind of made your bed. And, it's more about, like, that log kya kenge, like, what the society is going to think. Absolutely. But I think, like, we both got really lucky with our families and our parents, especially like our dads, that like would, like, obviously I just got out of an 8-year relationship, and like my dad has been my number one fan, and it's actually really funny because it's like my dad's not a very like emotional person, and like he's not a very like talkative person. Like, he's one like to sit and observe, but like the minute I said, Dad, like, I'm not happy, I want to come home, he said, all right, come home and come home safe. Yeah. And he came and got me, and I think, like, that is, I cannot thank, like, Babaji enough, which is, like, our God, to, like, that, to forgiving me, like, such an amazing, like, set of parents, and even my sisters and my brother-in-law, like, literally dropped everything to just make sure that I was, like, coming home safe, and making sure, like, I was really okay.
It's rare. To have a supportive family in the South Asian community is rare.
It is really rare, and I think it's also, like, such a taboo topic, and, like, we can talk about this, like, maybe on another episode, but, like, I think also just, like, gravitating throughout that healing process, it's so different, and nobody prepares you for, like, grieving a relationship or a person that still exists.
Yeah.
Like, and I think for the past, like,
that's a good way to put it.
Maybe, like, 2 years, I think I have been grieving a relationship and grieving a person that, like, was still, like, physically present. But, like, I think there were a lot of, like, nuances that created this, like, grief process for me. Yeah. But, like, when I moved back, I was really intentional.
How is that? How has that moving back been? Do you want to say the D word?
Well, I mean, it's not official yet, so let's I think moving back has been.
How's that adjustment been? Because you're back with your parents now.
I'm back with my parents, and like I don't think I'd be as like confident or healed as I am without my family. So I think, like, in hindsight, a lot of ways, like, living alone for 8 years, or like obviously with somebody else for 8 years, you're living an independent life, and then like coming back home feels very like you're regressing. So in a lot of ways, I had to battle that internally of, like, I'm not regressing, I'm actually just healing. And I, again, like, my family's so supportive, and, like, my parents were always called the cool parents on the block, because, like,
they're such cool parents.
I know, I want to be like them when I grow up. They literally are living their lives, and I love it. Their social life, by the way, is, like, way, like, more than mine ever was or ever will be. Like, they are such social beings. It's hilarious. But I think, like, moving home is really, like, it was hard because I like my space. Let's be honest. Don't touch me. Stay 5 feet away from me at all times.
You're a classic Gemini.
I am a classic Gemini. I obviously like to be extroverted at times, but I really do retreat. Like, I really do value, like, going to bed or, like, having like my time to read my books or watch my TV shows. Like,
For
so
sure.
like I like a mix of both worlds. Where I was like, when you're at home or with my family, it's like you have to be on all the time, and I struggle with that. So I think like that's been really hard for me this past year. But again, like I don't think I would have healed as much as I have without being at home.
Yeah, they helped you. They're helping your healing process.
Oh, definitely. Like, I think, like, also just being around my nieces and my sister and my brother-in-law again. Like, obviously, my little sister. Yeah, it's cathartic. My little sister's in New York still, so I really haven't spent much time with her. But, like, just being around, like, my immediate family has been, like, so nice because it's a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
But I think, like, a big part of the healing process for me was, like, learning to feel my emotions.
Yeah, because you've had to rename them and ignore them and devalue them for 8 years.
Yeah, and I think like actually one of my friends, he had said to me like it's okay to be angry, and I was like I'm not an angry being, so being angry for me takes more energy than it is to like actually like be angry. And so that took me a long time. I moved back end of December 2022.
Okay.
But I obviously had been grieving my relationship for a year prior to that. But when I moved back, like I just like threw myself into like the gym. I lost 90 pounds.
Yeah.
Like I kind of just like focused on like making myself the most authentic version of myself. And I can truly say like I am the happiest I've probably ever been.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to feel those like emotions. And like I didn't like start dating people. I didn't start like, you know, like people get out of relationships and like jump into bed or like or start dating somebody immediately. I didn't do that. For me, I was very, very intentional about like wanting to heal. Yeah. Clearly, I wasn't like fully healed, and I'm not fully healed, but I think I'm like 90% there.
Be fully healed.
No, healing's not linear, right? Like it's definitely one of those things where there's an up and down process. Different things will trigger you, but I truly believe if you can name the trigger, learn and grow from it, that's all that matters. It doesn't you're not expected to be perfect, and I think that was something I had to learn to do is I'm not a perfect human. I'm perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, you are perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
And you're embracing that in a very, very healthy way. And I think that is refreshing because most people do not grieve loss in a healthy way. So.
No, and I think like everyone's journey is different. Like I said, like some people start dating straight away. Some people sleep around. Some people, you know, travel or throw themselves into work or whatever. I literally threw myself into the healing journey. Like I went to therapy, which is funny because like as a therapist, like you probably should be going to therapy anyways.
Absolutely.
But, like,
I think therapists should be the number one people who have like therapists themselves.
Yeah, but like I had never found like and this might just feel like where I'm more picky because I know my quality of skills and I'm like, this person doesn't really know what they're doing. But like I found a therapist that I actually liked. And like really started to think about why I had allowed my boundaries to be so flexible and why I had kind of like lost a sense of who I was. Yeah. And I can truly say like that will never happen again.
Good.
Good. But yeah, like I think so being back has been like an adjustment, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think like I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too. Because people really do. Like, I think, like, do you feel like the people who jump into new relationships or, it's like, you know, do different things or, like, just change their entire, like, they're avoiding the problem. They're avoiding having to deal with it.
Yeah.
And you can run as far to the end of the world if you want, but that past is still chasing you until you've learned to, like, stop it and deal with it and fix it.
Yeah, like, I think... I mean, obviously, as a therapist, and I see a lot of couples, and I see a lot of young adults, so I do, like, a lot of this work with other people, but, like, people who just jump right into something else, there's no way you can actually fully give yourself 100%.
No.
Or even, like, 80 and 90%, because I don't know if you could ever really fully give 100% all the time. But, like, in order to be intentional about dating and getting to know someone, you have to kind of work through, like, and grieve your last relationship. Like, there is always going to be triggers and there's always going to be fights and arguments and disagreements.
Yes.
But it's how you kind of like grow, learn, heal, and like move together versus like against each other. So like somebody told me like one time that like a fight doesn't have to be two people against each other. It can be two people against the problem.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people fight against each other to get their point across versus fighting against the problem. So I really wanted to focus on like learning to communicate and like learning to like understand my emotions before I got back into like the dating game.
Yeah, and that will, I mean, I feel like that's the healthy way, so that when you get into your next relationship, you're not bringing your baggage with you. And that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing, because if you're going to bring that baggage with you, you're going to ruin something that could have potentially been the most amazing thing of your life, because you haven't dealt with your baggage. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, like, I obviously felt like I rushed into my marriage. But I don't think...
Do you feel like you rushed into marriage?
I do. I think that...
Why did you rush into it?
I think because everybody around me was getting married. It was like the natural next step to do. And then like, you know, I think it just...
So did you want more like the wedding, or did you want the married life with him?
I think I wanted both. I think it was more about like...
But was it him, or you just wanted the married life and he just happened to be right there?
I think it was about the life he presented to me, the version that he had shared, that this was what our life would look like, that I'm a hopeless romantic. And so I think like for me it was just like guy silver platter showing you the world essentially, and not really thinking about like, okay, like how will this play out? So I think like that's what I mean when I'm saying intentionally dating. Like I wanted to make sure like I knew what I wanted out of my next relationship, and hopefully my last relationship, that like it's more about building a life together versus like building a life on one person's dreams, needs, wants, whatever, desires.
Yeah.
But dating and talking are two different things. Like you can get to know somebody, and I don't consider that to be like a relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah, until you have the talk.
Yeah, the talk.
The talk. What are we talk. I love that talk.
Yeah, that talk is it's definitely a good talk.
So what's the next step then?
I mean,
you're still working on your therapy, still working on yourself.
No, my therapist actually was like, I'm not seeing you for 2 months because you're good. You just have to kind of believe in yourself. And I was like, whoa, lady, I still need you. And she was like, nope, you're good. So I am just, you know, living my best life. Like I'm dating around. I'm getting to know people. Like I'm not taken, single.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like
put a ring on it, boys.
No, please don't. Please
Not yet.
Not yet. I want to I really just want to enjoy that process. And I don't think I got that the first time. I think you, we met, we got engaged, we got married, we moved.
Yeah, you also got married really fast.
Yeah. So I think
and
that's
moving away from your entire life.
Yeah,
people
my
don't
friends,
understand
my family.
how hard that is.
Yeah, I mean, you know that too. Starting over, I think it was hard, especially when you're so isolated. So this time around, I want to just really enjoy the dating process. I'm not going to put a timeline on it because obviously I'm older. But I also think that, sometimes you just know, and sometimes things naturally progress. But I think, I definitely just want to be intentional. That's my key word here, is intentionality.
That's good.
Yeah.
You ever find, I didn't do too much. I did a lot of family and a lot more individual. And I did a little bit. But do you enjoy couples counseling?
I love it.
Or more than individual? Because you do a lot. You see a lot
of couples. And I absolutely love it.
I found it so difficult.
Really?
I would want to just scream at them at one over the other. And it's
my favorite thing.
Oh my goodness. No, I could not. What do you like? What do you prefer from couples over individual therapy?
I think the merging of two different personalities, because I think it's so real and raw and vulnerable, and like I don't think a lot of people understand that you can be two individuals in a healthy relationship, whereas I think a lot of people think you have to be so like with your partner, but I've seen it work.
Yeah.
In fact, opposites really do attract. You have to have similarities. To a degree. You have to have similarities, but I think like the best part about couples counseling is being able to embrace the individualities within the couple. And also, like, I think as a human, I think you observe and you see, like, what is healthy versus what's not healthy, and how your healthy might be different from my healthy. Like, if we talk about just, like, communication and stuff, like, my dad traveled probably, like, 90% of my childhood up until I was 18 years old. So, like, I've always grown up with, like, not having, like, both parents in the house all the time. And so I think, like, for me, it doesn't really matter if...
Tell me what that's like, because that's my kids' reality. Yeah. Mine was not like that. My parents are both 8 to 5, 9 to 6.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I grew up with both of them 24/7.
That is true. But, like, I think, like, for me, it taught me that it's okay to be independent, but also have a healthy relationship. Like, you're forced to talk to somebody on the phone and communicate because they're not seeing your everyday life.
Yeah.
So I think, like, that's what it taught me. And it also taught me that, like, you can still have, like, good relations with people. It just takes a different type of effort. Like, I valued so much, like, my dad's phone calls at night. Like, he would call the house, and I'd be, like, so excited to talk to him every single night, because it was, like, something that, like, even if it was just like, hey, how are you doing? Like, 'cause my dad, again, is not a talkative person, but, like, that would be something I look forward to. And then when he was home, it was like, oh, we're going to, like, go and do, like, X, Y, and Z or whatever. But so I think, like, in a relationship standpoint, like, I don't need to be around somebody 24/7, but I do need the communication. Like, I do need to know, like, hey, like, like, you know, like, how's your day? Or, like, you know, like, I don't need constant, like, 24/7 communication, but I do need, like, that sense of engagement.
It's not constant, but consistent.
Consistent, not
Yeah, consistent, not constant.
Yeah. So I don't need 24/7, but I do need some type of communication.
Yeah, I always wonder what it was like to grow up with a dad that's not there 90% of the time, because that's my kids. Their dad's not around 90% of the time.
But you also have a partner that's not there, so, like, how is that for you? Like, because you value individual time too.
I do. It's now I can handle it, and now I'm very good when he's gone, and I'm very good when he's here, because I have, like, it's like two different bushras. Like, when Yusuf's in town, I'm very different. I'm focused on what he needs, and, you know, like, it's like making him the lunches and dinners and making sure he's fed and taken care of. And when I'm around, it's like I survive on a bag of Chex Mix and a muffin, you know, a stale muffin for my kids' lunch. Like, that's what... Like, it's very, like, I have my routine, and my routine when he's around, and my routine when I'm here. But in the beginning, it was very, like, I remember the first time he left on a work trip when we were married, I cried for, like, a few hours. And then I was like, what are you doing? Like, you don't cry over this stuff. But it's, like, now I, like, you know, tears of joy when because I'm, like, now I can get back to, like, not worrying about so many little things that...
Not being a wifey all the time.
Yeah, not being a wife. I feel sometimes it's more work being a wife than a mother, but it's fine. It's rewarding. They're both pros and cons, but it's hard. I feel like for the kids, it's a tough adjustment. They get to the point where, like, my girls, like, they'll talk to him for the first few days on FaceTime, but then when he starts FaceTiming, they won't look at him because they're so angry that he's not around. And then Isa will literally ask me every day, is Baba going to come pick me up from school today? And I'm like, no, not until, like, 2 weeks from now. Is Baba going to pick you up? Yeah. No, not until 3 weeks from now. So it's very, like, you know, it's still tough for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, like, my dad didn't stop traveling until I was, like, 17 or 18. And, like, the other adjustment is having him around all the time. Yeah. Now I'm like, bro.
When's the next flight out?
I'm like, Pops? Bro. Like, because it's different. Like, growing up with my mom, like, we had a different set of rules. Yeah. Like, it was like, oh.
You have a different set of rules.
Yeah, we're going to go out this way, or, like, whatever. Like, now, if I leave my house, like, I left my house like this today. And my dad was like, that's what you're wearing? I was like,
still to this day?
Bro.
Like, I'm in my early 30s.
And I remember there's this one incident, like, we were getting passport photos taken. And so we went to like CVS or Walgreens or whatever, and I was wearing my UT sweatshirt and like a hoodie. And literally my dad was like, go and change. Like, you are not wearing that for your passport pictures. And I was like, I don't understand. Like,
why are dads like this? They're all like this. They care so much about appearances.
Yeah, but it's not like he wanted me to like wear makeup or wear like a dress or anything. Yeah. He just wanted me to not be like dressed like to be presentable. Yeah, to be presentable. And I'm also like, it's not really comfortable.
Yeah,
but it's an adjustment. But again wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, my dad's like one of my besties. Like, I love him to death, and like, good luck to my future husband, because if he doesn't get along with my dad, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's tough when you're blessed to have a good role model and a father figure growing up. That it's like, my sisters and I always like, we initially in our marriages, we would compare our husbands to our father.
Yeah.
All the time. And then we all had to like slowly train ourselves not to do that, because they'd never match up. They'd never match up. And then we'd realize that no matter what their mothers were like, and there's some things that we could be the best in, but we'd never match up to their mother.
No.
You know, like, I could be the best, I could make the best food for Yusuf, but he'll always be like, my mom's cooking is the best, you know? It's like, you can't compare. My mom always said comparisons and expectations are what results in the result of a bad relationship. You cannot compare and expect, so you have to stop. So I was like, it's fine. Like, Yusuf will never match up to my dad, but it's okay. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to match up to him.
No, it's not about, I don't even think like matching up. It's just about like understand the importance that these people play in your life, right? Yeah. Like, I think like at the end of the day, it goes down to like that mutual respect. And like, also like, I mean, I don't need you to be best friends with my dad, although my dad's pretty freaking cool.
You should be so lucky.
Yeah, he should be lucky to be best friends with my dad. Yes. No. It's actually really funny because most of my friends like my parents more than me. But I
like you more than your parents, Priya.
Thank you.
That's because I haven't spent enough time with them.
Yeah,
things might change if I do.
Things might change.
Is that why you're keeping me away?
Yeah. You just moved back, girl. But yeah, no, I think like it's more about just like that mutual respect.
It is. And you have to have that in a relationship to make it work.
Yeah, if family's important to you, you need to have a partner that can understand that. They don't have to agree with it. Mm-hmm. I understand, like, my family, I think both of our families were slightly more obsessed with each other than, like, normal families are. I get that. Like, I know that, like, our family's dynamics are very similar.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't expect everyone's family to be like that, but I do expect an understanding.
Yes.
Like,
absolutely.
The different things are important to you and different things are important to me, and how can we make sure both of our important things are matched up?
Exactly. Respect it.
Yeah. Well,
respect.
I think
that's the theme of today's
podcast is respect and intentionality, I think. But yeah, so I think that's
all right, guys.
That's the end of episode 2.
All right. Catch you guys next time.
All right. Bye,
Should
guys.
we come up with like a slogan? We'll think of one. We'll use it next time, guys.
I don't think I'm cool enough for a slogan, but yeah, we can think of one.
We'll have it next time.
All right. Peace out.
Okay, bye.
Bye.